Hi, I'm Josh, and welcome back to A Blind Tasting, where, once again, I'm going to be tasting whatever I happen to have handy this week. And that means that today, it's this here bottle of the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select. Now, most people have probably heard of Jack Daniel's. It is one of the best-selling alcohol brands on the planet. And they've been making their particular brand of Kentucky Straight whiskey for about 150 something years. They're credited with inventing the charcoal filtration process that's still used by a lot of distilleries around the United States, and basically involves passing their product through about 10 feet of sugar charcoal. Don't ask me how that works because I've got absolutely no idea. Aside from that, Jack Daniel's happens to be located in Lynchburg, Tennessee, part of a dry county, which means the only place you can get booze in the area is at their distillery of all places. But with some of the history out of the way, let's talk about what's in the bottle. Well, that's a nice pop on that cork. One of my favourite sounds in the world is a nice cork pop. The Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select is pretty close to the top of the range when it comes to Jack Daniel's. It's bottled at 45% ABV, or as the Americans would say, 90 proof, and matured exclusively in American oak casks that Jack Daniel's make themselves. And when you're talking about whiskey, there's a lot more to it than just tasting what's in the glass, because the aromas can be just as fun to dive into. So, why don't we start there? And the first thing I get is that this is quite sugary on the nose, quite sweet. Brown sugar, a bit of caramel, a little hint of vanilla, and a touch of banana. It's almost like banana bread. What? In fact, yeah, I'd say that on the nose, it's very reminiscent of banana bread. But how does it taste? Well, it's very smooth, that's for sure. And I get some of that banana flavour that I talked about on the nose. Yeah, the main notes that I get out of this are the banana, brown sugar, almost caramelised brown sugar, a hint of vanilla, and a bit of oak spice. It's not unpleasant by any means. There's not a lot to analyse in the glass. Now, it might be sacrilege to some, but every now and then I find that adding a bit of ice to your whiskey can unlock some different flavours. So, if you'll excuse me, that is exactly what I'm off to go and do. And we're back. So, let's see if adding ice has made this any different. Well, on the nose, a lot more of that caramel comes through, almost like toffee now instead of the sort of slightly caramelized brown sugar from before. The banana's gone, and there's the faintest hint of vanilla, but mainly on the nose now, it's just toffee. It's not unpleasant, but I actually think before adding the ice, the nose was a little more interesting. Has it made a difference in the taste? Well, let's see. Really, what I can say is, it's just mellowed everything out. The banana's a lot more subtle. A lot more of that brown sugar caramel comes through. The oak spice is almost non-existent. Yeah, mainly what I'm tasting now is that sort of caramel and brown sugar and a little bit of banana, but not much else. Still really smooth, which is a plus, but on the whole, a much less interesting glass. On a hot summer's day though, this is something that you could easily drink over ice and really enjoy it. So, what do I think of the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select overall? Well, I'm generally not the biggest fan of the Jack Daniel's flavour profile, if I'm being completely honest, but that's largely just because I don't like banana that much. Still, I don't think you can go far wrong with this, and so I'm going to give the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select the rating of try it. And since I never like to let whiskey go to waste, I'll be finishing the rest of this glass now. Cheers. If you're enjoying what I'm doing here at A Blind Tasting, please remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. And a friendly comment is always appreciated. So until next time, remember, you'll see me, but I won't see you.